Welcome back to Film Recall. With Aquaman coming out, I thought I would give my ranking of the 6 movies that make up the DC universe, including Aquaman. Wherever you look on the internet, if you read the comments, there's people who hate DC, there's people who love DC. It's the Wild West out there. So let me know in the comments below what you think of DC. And with that, I'm gonna kick the list off at number 6, with Suicide Squad. DC's biggest issue that they face is that they have some really cool moments, they have cool ideas, but they just can't bring it together for the home run. They make these stories too overstuffed with too many plot points. There's definitely way too many characters in this movie. So then when it comes down to edit the movie down and trim things out, it's like the movie's hopping and skipping around trying to pick up the pieces and trying to hit all of the points, and they just don't have enough time to do that. With that being said, I didn't think Suicide Squad was as bad as a lot of people did, especially the director's cut. It helps the story flow a tad more. I just wish it was weirder. This was DC's chance to go crazy with the characters, to just make this insane story with all of these villains as a movie that it almost kind of seemed dangerous when it actually just turned out to be your typical hero movie. It's a redemption story for these characters, but I feel like along the way, along the journey, they should have been a lot more morally in the gray zone. I mean, Harley Quinn steals a purse at one point, but that's no different than your average criminal. But to me, Suicide Squad gets by on the strength of its performances. The whole team has so much charisma that they made it fun. I even like Jai Courtney. To me, the biggest problem is that the writing never quite figured out its characters. Deadshot and Harley Quinn had the best development. Everyone else got sidelined to giving just occasional one-liners, especially Killer Croc and Katana. They should have had way more depth to them. Instead, the only thing that Killer Croc gets is a jumpsuit, and Katana had one really good moment where she's looking at her sword, and her sword is able to capture the spirits of the people it's killed. I thought that was a great moment, and I wanted a lot more of that. It's definitely a mess, but I find it to be entertaining, and I'd rather take an entertaining mess than something that's boring. Overall, it feels like it had the most studio interference, and that's why it's at the bottom of the list. Coming in at number 5 is Batman vs. Superman. The extended version helps to fix some of the pacing issues I had and fleshed out some of the subplots better, but there's still way too much going on. The DC universe would be so much better if they didn't have to try to tackle 50 different things. These stories just don't have enough time to breathe. Everything is on the move. It's like they're trying to run before they can walk. But I did really like how the destruction at the end of Man of Steel serves as the catalyst for why Batman wants to take down Superman. I thought that was a really smart way to handle that. But what's kind of funny is that Batman ends up doing the exact same thing at the end of Batman vs. Superman. When Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman all team up to fight Doomsday, they cause a lot of destruction. Instead of having that now infamous Martha moment, "Save Martha!" I think it would have made way more sense had they fought Doomsday, caused a ton of destruction, and then Batman would sit back and think, hey, I just did the exact same thing as Superman did in Man of Steel, and now I understand where he's coming from. He wasn't trying to hurt anyone, he was just trying to save us. And that could have brought together the understanding between them instead of just having their moms have the same names. But I do like how Lex Luthor was pitting them against each other. Jesse Eisenberg has a really bizarre take on Lex Luthor.
Ahoy, ahoy, I did not know you were here.
I kind of like it. We've seen the serious version of Lex Luthor so many times that I kind of liked the over-the-top version just for a change of pace. If it was in a different movie, the rest of the movie and cast is so serious that it becomes jarring whenever they cut to him. It's like if Jim Carrey's Riddler was in The Dark Knight. The reason why Jim Carrey's Riddler works in Batman Forever is because the rest of the movie is just as goofy as he is. There's definitely issues with the script, but I still think it's really cool that we got to see Batman fighting Superman on the big screen, and the ending is pretty impactful. Coming in at number 4 is Justice League. It was lighter on the story, heavy on the spectacle. The biggest compliment that I'm able to give Justice League is that the writing was able to allow all of these heroes to keep their personalities intact. They didn't just blend together, and I love how every time it switches to another character, the tone of the movie and the look of the movie changes to fit that hero's personality. Now, it does run the risk of the movie being tonally all over the place, and it kind of is, but I really like what they were going for. For this to be the big teaming up, I do wish the effects were a lot better instead of it looking like they're just standing in front of giant green screens the whole time. Even outside of the action, each shot is oversaturated. Still, it was fun for what it was, and I liked how they took a lighthearted approach to the material instead of it being overly serious. The Flash added some great comic relief, and this was Zack Snyder lightening up a bit. But for this to be the big team up of DC's biggest heroes, I wish the story felt like it meant more. Coming in at number 3 is Man of Steel. This was a pretty solid Superman origin story, and in a lot of ways, I like it as well as Superman Returns. This is some of Zack Snyder's best and most focused visual storytelling, and his big scale direction is perfectly suited for someone as epic as Superman. He had a really good grasp of the emotional weight that Superman carries, and even though we've seen the origins of Superman plenty of times, I didn't mind seeing it again because the emotional core was so strong. The second half is where Man of Steel starts to fall apart a bit for me. It has some questionable moments, and it seems like the heavy lifting that the first half does was just tossed to the wayside in favor of bigger and bigger action sequences, which it's Superman. I definitely want the action sequences, but I also wanted it to keep the emotion going, and we have that big major moment at the end of the movie. Super controversial. Brief spoilers, I'm sure you've seen the movie, but he kills someone. I actually didn't mind him doing that. It's a big controversy, but this isn't the first time he's killed someone. He's done it in the comics. Not a lot of times, but he has killed in the comics. To me, it gives another layer to Superman. On an emotional level, I felt like Man of Steel was the most satisfying on this list so far. For the number 2 spot, I debated back and forth. It was hard to choose, but for now, I'm gonna put Aquaman at number 2. I have a full review up if you want to see my full thoughts, but I thought James Wan did a terrific job with Aquaman. This is the first movie on the list that I would consider truly great. It embraces the cheesiness of this character while also showing just how cool he can be. Jason Momoa was given a really small part in Justice League. It wasn't enough to really see if he was nailing the part, but with Aquaman, he shows that he has what it takes to be the king of Atlantis, and I think it'll change the way that people see this character. The effects are some of the best in the DC universe, and the colorful world of Atlantis is so well realized, the action is creative, and the story has a great balance between humor and emotion. Aquaman is definitely at the top of the DCEU. It feels like DC is finally starting to find their footing, and if the quality of their movies continue to be like Aquaman and Wonder Woman, I think they have a bright future ahead of them. And coming in at the number 1 spot is Wonder Woman. Aquaman and Wonder Woman are pretty interchangeable for me. I went back and forth, but I'm sticking Wonder Woman at number 1 because I've seen it more times and because it's the most focused storytelling in the DC universe. Aquaman might be the movie I would watch more, but Wonder Woman has a single villain with a streamlined story that had several incredible set pieces. The scene in No Man's Land is my favorite moment in the entire franchise. That's why Wonder Woman is number 1 on the spot, because for me, the entire movie worked. It's not worried about having all of these subplots or trying to set up future movies. It's focused on the story that it's telling right now. I had a blast with Wonder Woman, a blast with Aquaman, and with those 2 movies, it really gives me hope for the future of DC. So that's my ranking for the DC universe. Let me know in the comments below what your ranking is. Let's also talk about the future of DC. I think they have some really interesting movies coming up, but I do hope that they're learning from the mistakes of their past movies. Which DC movie are you looking forward to seeing? I think Shazam looks pretty cool. Thanks for watching, and if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe for more movie reviews every week.